Hey, Slater Crusaders, welcome back to our special Faith Under Attack in America. But let's end on a positive note. So Christianity used to be an assumed part of our culture and therefore an assumed and reinforced aspect of our school system, right? The 10 Commandments used to be in every classroom. Like, of course they were. You would never consider them not to be. We used to pray in school. This wasn't that long ago. This isn't ancient history. And it was a Supreme Court case in 1980 when the 10 Commandments first came down. And now we have 42 years of rotten fruit to show for what that wrought. And it's all, we did a whole special recently on the separation of church and state, and people have it backwards, right? Separation of church and state, it means that the government cannot force their will on religion. It doesn't mean that religion can't be a part of government or our education system. And this issue came up again with our next guest. He was a football coach in Washington State. And since 2008, he would pray after each game, briefly, just a couple seconds in the middle of the field. And eventually players would join him. And because of that, he was fired. And the school said it was an endorsement of religion, and the coach wasn't allowed to engage in any observable religious activity. And the Supreme Court just recently ruled that that firing was illegal. And hopefully he'll be back on the field soon. Coach Kennedy is here with us. Coach, how are you, sir?
It's wonderful to be here. And boy, you nailed everything just spot on earlier.
Beautiful. I'm glad. I'm grateful, and I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for you keeping on and not giving up. Did you ever think, you know what, this isn't worth the hassle, I'll just stop praying after the game. It's not worth the headache, and I'll just pray somewhere else or whatever?
Yeah, it crossed my mind actually many times. This was huge on my family, the impact. My wife, she was the HR director for the school district, so you can imagine what that did to our home life. My kids were in the school, and I was about to lose my football team. And so, yeah, many times I thought, wow, is this really worth it? And then one day, one of my kids said, Coach, can't you just give in? This sucks. Can't you just, give in to what they want? And I knew from that second on that, hey, I asked these guys to do everything on a Friday night and to fight like heck. And all of a sudden, I'm going to quit because it becomes uncomfortable for me. No, I had to set the example. So that's what I did. That was the defining moment that I knew that, no, I'm going to stand by my guns and stand up for the First Amendment.
Wow. What message do you think this sent your kids? And what message would it have sent if you did stop?
I think it went really well for them because, leadership by example is so huge. And, it's not something that you can easily observe. But when you go through something like that, even though things might be really bad at the beginning, you could totally understand at the end that, hey, some things are worth fighting for, no matter what the cost. And hopefully I set that example for them and for every American.
Yeah, you did. What was the most offensive thing that was said to you by the people around you, not just the media, but the people around you throughout this whole ordeal?
Yeah, I've had so many things. I had some people that, real tough guys that sit behind a computer all day, throwing me threats and stuff. And I said, well, come on, hey, let's meet for lunch. And yeah, those guys aren't even worth my time. It's when they started attacking my family and also butchering what the facts of the case were. They were saying I was trying to, do things I wasn't doing. Like, I wanted to convert every kid and, I was brainwashing them. All this kind of nonsense. People that just didn't have any understanding about our football program and our school and our community.
Well, Kavanaugh kind of brought that up. He's like, he pondered, mused during the opening stuff. Aren't you like a player who wants more playing time? Maybe he'll just go along with what the coach is doing to try to get in your good graces, to get on the field more. What'd you make of that?
Yeah, that was the part that probably made my blood boil the most, because obviously they have absolutely no understanding about football and our football team. I was the head coach for junior varsity, which means everybody gets to play. I don't care who you are. They're getting as much playing time as possible. And then on varsity, I had absolutely no say in whatsoever who started, how much playing time they got. My job was to train these young men to be better players, put everything out there on the field, and hopefully become better people, when they grow up. So the whole thing about praying and, they have to pray to play just is such nonsense that people obviously don't know what they're talking about.
What a great point. What do you think, what does it say, this whole experience you went through, about the state of religion in America and also like in the government, right? You work for the government school. What did their bosses not understand about Christianity, about the First Amendment, about the law that caused this whole thing to spiral in the first place?
I think it was really like what you're saying. Mostly, it was a huge misunderstanding of what the separation in church. The First Amendment is what they're really butchering. They can't figure out what that exactly means. So it's so much easier to just wipe it out and get it off campus instead of actually embracing it or teaching and educating our people on diversity and inclusion and things. All the buzzwords that you hear them preaching today. But their lawyer group, obviously, of the school district who covers all of Washington, they have their own agendas. And you very much saw it if you paid attention to the case, that they just want to stamp out anything that it has to do with religion, any kind of religion, anywhere in the public square.
What's the motivation for that?
I say it's pure evil, but I don't know what their agenda. Maybe they got something against God. I'd love to sit down with them and talk to them and find out really why they have such a beef. And I think I'm an all right guy. I know a lot of people that go to different churches, and if you talk to people, we basically all believe in something, and it's not just ourselves. I think they lost focus of that.
Yeah, you're right. Diversity and inclusion somehow not applied to you. I've got 30 seconds, Coach. What do you want us to take away from your story? How do you want us to live our lives differently, knowing you?
It's super simple. If somebody like me, just an average guy that's from, this town that nobody knows, Bremerton, Washington, if I could stand up and fight and defend the Constitution and stand up for every American, imagine what all of us could do together. You don't have to hide who you are and what you believe in. Feel free to be who you are and stand up for your faith and stand up for others. That's a great thing about America, is that if we actually listen to what the Constitution says and we actually try to teach and learn from that, we could probably do wonderful things for our country right now, especially when we need it most.
Well done, Coach. CoachJoeKennedy.com to learn more about Coach's story and what's next. Coach, thank you for the inspiration, sir.
Thank you. Peace, brothers.
Hey, Set of Crusaders, available now on the First TV app is our special about faith under attack in America. So we first talk with Dennis Prager. Then we also talk with the pastor, although it's in Canada, same thing, who was jailed for staying open during COVID, but it wasn't really about that. And then we talk with the football coach in Washington who prayed in the middle of the field after his football games and was fired and won his case at the Supreme Court. So we talked to people who have been persecuted because of their faith. Hopefully this is as much of an inspiration to you as it was me. The special is available now on thefirsttv.com.